It's year number 2 for Luke Fickell at Wisconsin. And even if the team is better in 2024, it may be hard to tell. Their schedule is brutal, and it doesn't even include Michigan or Ohio State. I'll explain. Locked On Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman. Coming up on 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer. And I want to thank you for making us your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. This summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com and get started. It is a pivotal year 2 for Luke Fickell at Wisconsin. They do have this brutal schedule I want to go over. Plus, we'll have our Big Ten Classics coming up for the weekend. Hang tight for that as well. But first, the Badgers historically have been a good football team. Been a really good football team at times, but never really great. Did you know they have the best record out of all the Power 5 or Power 4 schools to have never made the college football playoff? Right there, but they've never really been able to bust through. Certainly, they're a good team that could eventually benefit from the expanded 12-team playoff. In fact, I was looking back at some teams in the past, and many of their teams over the past 20 years would have cracked the 12-team playoff had we had it. And only 4. And even before that, it was a 2-team with the BCS, but not this year's team. Let's, no matter how many teams are in the playoffs. We'll get into it a little bit later, but they don't even have Michigan or Ohio State on their schedule, and the schedule is pretty tough. But that's life in the new 18-team expanded Big Ten. And there's no more West Division to take advantage of. So we'll get to that in just a bit. But right now, let's figure out where we are with Luke Fickell in year 2 of this program. Now, he replaced Paul Chryst, right? Paul Chryst won a lot of games at Wisconsin. Some recent decline, I get it. But he was fired because the school wanted to step things up a notch. They wanted to compete for some championships. And Fickell had a great resume, and he was given the job. So his first order of business was to change up the offense, bring it into the new age. Wisconsin was known for if it was known for anything, it was in Madison was, hey, we're going to have some big, huge offensive linemen. We're going to have great running backs behind those linemen, and we're going to punch in the mouth, and we're going to just blow your doors off at the line of scrimmage. That was Wisconsin football forever, for as long as I can remember. Well, Fickell and offensive coordinator Phil Longo, they talked about the Badgers employing this air attack on offense. They were going to go vertical. They were going to get with the times. Problem was when Fickell got there, he had some good players. The cupboard, Paul Chryst did not leave the cupboard empty. All right. He still had some great running backs. He still had a massive offensive line for the run. And even though transfer quarterback Tanner Mordecai had put up some big numbers at SMU before he eventually, Oklahoma, I think he didn't play at Oklahoma, but it was SMU, put up some big numbers. Came into Wisconsin and just wasn't a good fit for what Fickell wanted to do. Nothing against the kid. It just wasn't that great. So for year 2, it's back to the drawing board. Another transfer quarterback. This time it's Miami Hurricanes quarterback Tyler Van Dyke. Now, Van Dyke has a lot more arm talent than Mordecai, but he's as erratic as the stock market. He's just up and down, up and down. He really is. I live in Florida. I've seen Miami play a lot. He can give you a 4-touchdown passing day, or he could throw 4 interceptions in a game. He's very inconsistent and up and down at Miami. And to be honest with you, here's what I think. And I talked about this when I watched the spring practices and all that. Got wind of some stuff from people up there. Braden Locke. This is the guy I think should be playing quarterback. And I remember watching him last year when Tanner Mordecai got hurt. I think Locke played like in 5 games. I'm thinking, why isn't this guy starting? That's just from my own eyeball test watching Wisconsin football last year. In fact, it was freshman of the week in October. Remember, he came in, Badgers were down, came from behind to win the game against Illinois. More facts about him. He's the first Badger to have multiple 240-yard passing performances as a freshman. Came in there and looked pretty good to me. And I think that should be the guy, the starter. But, you go bring in a high-profile transfer, you got to play him. You got to give him the start. Tanner Mordecai's probably going to start this season. But I think Braden Locke has a lot of talent. And there's a lot of people at Wisconsin that are pretty impressed with the 6'4" kid, Mabry Mature. Yeah, he's out of Texas. People are excited about him. Great size, big arm. But if the Badgers want to sling it around the yard, and they're going to have to do it without their best deep threat. Shamir DK, he's gone, transferred to Florida. Will Pauling is still there. He's solid. 74 catches and 6 touchdowns last year. Probably will be the focal point to the passing attack this year. Tight end Tucker Ashcroft, he's young. Good size, though, at 6'5". Maybe a good security blanket over the middle. Played in 13 games as a freshman last year. He needs to take that next step up and not just be playing, but be the focus. We'll see about Ashcroft, the tight end. But the bottom line at Wisconsin, they still like to, or they should like to still run the football. Did you know last year, that 7-6 season, when they ran the ball 35 times or more, and that's a lot, particularly in today's game, they were 7-0. Run the ball 35 times, 7-0. That's Wisconsin football. Less than 35 times, 0-6. So they have some holes to fill on the offensive line. Nolan Rucci, offensive tackle, he went to Penn State, still in the Big Ten, but going elsewhere. But they're still great on the ends of that line. And a defensive tackle, or offensive tackle, and on right side and left side, Jack Nelson, giant, 6'7", 300 pounds, senior, experienced. Riley Mallman, 6'8", 300 pounds on the right side. They're good. They still have a Wisconsin offensive line. Should be business as usual up front. The Badgers started the season last year with a nice running back tandem. You got to have the 1-2 punch in the Big Ten. Remember, they had Braylon Allen and Ches Malusi. Allen's in the NFL. Malusi had that gruesome injury last year, showed all sorts of promise. Kid out of Naples. He'll be back. He'll be the focal point of the running attack this year. They pick up Oklahoma transfer Tawi Walker. And on the defensive side of the ball, Badgers did a pretty good job against the run last year. They could tighten up the secondary a little bit, although that's where their superstar is. They got corner Ricardo Hallman coming back. 7 interceptions last year. That guy's coming back. You build around that guy. Hunter Warler's back at safety. He was the leading tackler. Now, I'm not a big fan of having your safety be your leading tackler. That means guys are getting through the front and the middle. Your safety has to save you, make tackle. I don't like that. Got to fix that a little bit. They added a senior edge rusher, John Pius from William and Mary, hoping to shore things up. So, look, I think Luke Fickell in his second season here, I think the team might be better. They get some better quarterback play. They got some pieces in place. I think they, as a team, could be better. Better than last year's 7-6 team. But I'm not sure we're going to see the improvement in the record. I don't think they're going to be better than 7-6. We'll see in a minute. We're going to go through the schedule. Again, it's tough. No Michigan, no Ohio State, but there are other teams that are pretty tough. So we'll have that. If you're a Badger fan, if you're a Big Ten fan, you like what you see here, ask you to subscribe. It's free. You just click the subscribe button and that's it. No personal information, no money, nothing. And then you and I, we are together in this Big Ten club on Locked On Big Ten. And you can subscribe and follow Locked On Big Ten wherever you get your podcast. That way you'll get the latest episode of this podcast as soon as it becomes available each and every day. Audio versions, if you're an audio person, wherever you get your podcasts, welcome aboard. Those come out at 4 a.m. Eastern time every day. The videos on YouTube come out at 6 a.m. Eastern every single day. Don't forget to pick up some Badgers swag for the upcoming 2024 football season. Get your fan shirts and hats and pennants and all that stuff right at our website where all of our podcasts go. It's talkbig10.com. talkbig10.com. You can see the crawl on the bottom if you're watching on video. Talkbig10 10.com. All of our podcasts go there chronologically, every one that we do. If you want to go back and watch another one after this one, we would love it. But also, if you're a Wisconsin fan, you just kind of discovering us. Anything we've done, we're kind of a main Wisconsin story was part of the podcast. We'll go under Wisconsin. You can find it by your team. It's grouped by your team or by your school, in addition to chronologically. And right there on the site, you can also go ahead and get yourself your merchandise for your school right there. TalkBig10, number 10.com. All right. So, FanDuel, our friends there at FanDuel, they have the Badgers win total at 6.5. Again, last year, 7-6 was the record, 6-6 for the regular season, and they got them about the same this year, 6.5. What side of the ledger do they fall? We're going to check out every single game one at a time, give you our thoughts on that right here as we continue on Locked On Big Ten. You can check that out, your team every day. All that coming up, plus our Big Ten classics from the Big Ten Network, all in 1 minute. Speaking of FanDuel earlier, look, we love sports. We love them in the summertime. Not as many sports in the summertime. Got a lot of baseball, though. A lot of stuff we could do with baseball on FanDuel. They keep the sports going whenever you want. This summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. So head on over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Dig in. I got some action here for you on Thursday. You may want to parlay some of these together. I like the Orioles over the Cubs. Who doesn't, right? I like the Rays over the Yankees, who are circling the drain right now. Red Sox over the A's, Astros over the Marlins, and Mariners over the Angels. Take a couple of those games, parlay them together. Have some fun with it. It is at FanDuel, right? So FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. All right, let's take a look. We've been talking about the Badgers. And before we get into their schedule, I want to thank you personally for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen every day, especially you everydayers that make this thing go. Thank you very much. Meanwhile, be sure to subscribe on YouTube and share and follow and like Locked On Big Ten, your team every day. Hey, I don't know if you everydayers, you're there 5 days a week. Maybe some of you are 3 days a week, 2 days a week. Add an extra listener watch a week. See what happens. Make it a habit. That's what we always ask you guys to do. And don't forget to check out our website for your favorite Big Ten merchandise and fanware. All right there at talkbig10 number 10.com. Let's look at the Badger schedule now. How many wins are we going to get here? And again, no Michigan, no Ohio State. We open up against Western Michigan. That is a Friday night game, August 30th. Okay. So they get the win there. Then they got South Dakota in week 2, week 3. We haven't even mentioned this yet. Got Alabama coming to Camp Randall. That's going to be tough. I was doing some reading on it. There's some people that think that Wisconsin could do this. They think that Alabama's going to be down. No Nick Saban. It's a road game for Bama. I'm sorry. I love the Badgers as much as anybody, but not in this game. Alabama wins this game. So Badgers at a 2-1 start on the season. Then got to hit the road to go to Southern Cal. Frankly, I don't like this matchup either for the Badgers. So let's give this to Southern Cal. Again, you lose Michigan and you lose Ohio State on the schedule whenever they're on. You pick up teams like Southern Cal, Oregon, Penn State. This is how it is. This is how life is in the Big Ten. So, all right. So through 4 games through September, I got the Badgers at 2-2. Then they take on Purdue. It's a home game. They should win that game to go 3-2. They're at Rutgers. By the way, we will be focusing on Rutgers on tomorrow's show. So check that out. A little season preview. Good things are happening with Rutgers. Rutgers is one of my 2 surprise teams this year in the Big Ten. I think Rutgers wins this game. It's at Rutgers, and Rutgers is good. That's 3-3. Then you go to at Northwestern for Wisconsin. Now, again, Northwestern won 8 games last year, much improved. They're going to be in that little bandbox on the lake on the soccer field with 15,000 bleachers. Not going to be the same home field advantage. I think Northwestern actually does take a little step back from their 8-win season. So I think it's a winnable game for Wisconsin. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 4-3 at this point. 4-3. Then take it on Penn State. It's at home. It's a good thing. Some of these tough games are at home, but I think Penn State's going to win that game. Then at Iowa, that's a toss-up. That's a coin flip game. It's at Iowa. I actually like Iowa in that one. Sorry, Badgers fan. This isn't going to be pretty. Then you've got Oregon. Oregon's winning that game. Oregon may be winning a national championship. Oregon may be winning the Big Ten this year. And then at Nebraska. That's a tough sled right there. Nebraska. Nebraska's my other team that's going to be jumping out this year. I think they win that game. And then at the season finale, Friday, November 29th, Black Friday after Thanksgiving, season finale for the Badgers. They'll beat Minnesota to close it out with a win. So that's 1, 2, 3, 5 wins. Man, that's tough. What I say Vegas has yet? 6.5. I see 5 wins. If you want to take any one of those losses that I have, Alabama, Southern Cal, Rutgers, Penn State, Iowa, Oregon, or Nebraska, if you want to say you win one of those, all right, I'll give you back to 6-6. And that goes back to my original point at the beginning of this podcast. This team may be better than last year's team, Wisconsin's, but it might not show up on the overall record. So I'm looking for around another 500 season for the Badgers in year 2 for Luke Fickell. And now that puts a little bit of pressure on year 3 in 2025. I know you may disagree with me, or hey, maybe you're looking at this fair. You're a Badger fan. Hit me up. We got comments on Twitter at X at Talk Big Ten number 10. I know I'll see the comments on YouTube about all this. Go ahead and hit me up right there. And don't forget our website, talkbig10number10.com. All right. Again, they'll be a better team. It just might not show it with the results of the win-loss record in 2024, the way the schedule plays out. That's all I'm saying. Hey, do you watch TV in the daytime, sports TV in the daytime, FS1, ESPN, all those talking shows where people are screaming at each other, arguing about the hot topics of the day, hot takes? Well, you can turn the volume down or turn them off altogether and check out our friends at Locked On Sports Today. It is a free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels. Apps part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, on Thursdays, our final feature, we always take a look ahead at the weekend. It's hotter than heck outside. Stay inside in the air condition, watch some TV. We got a lot of great Big Ten classics coming up this weekend. We will share those with you coming up in 1 minute right here on Locked On Big Ten. All right, it's time now to look ahead to the weekend for all the Big Ten classics on the Big Ten Network. Again, if you're new to us, we're not really affiliated with the Big Ten Network. We just kind of have the same interests. And so I always look ahead. Most of you have the Big Ten Network on your cable outlets, or satellite, or however you get your TV. And so we always look at the schedule coming up for the weekend. And just not the whole thing, some things that we'd like to highlight. We'll go full screen if you're audio only on your podcast and share them with you. Big Ten Classics. We'll start it off Friday, July 12th. We'll pick it up at 5:30 p.m. We'll fast forward throughout the day. We got a Michigan State football classic on. This is from 2013, the Big Ten Championship, Ohio State versus Michigan State. Check that out. That was from first week of December in 2013. Jeremy Langford rushing for 128 yards and a touchdown. Connor Cook passing for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. And the Spartans win the Big Ten Championship over Ohio State. Great moment for Spartans fans. Check it out on the Big Ten Network. Relive the glory there. At 6:30, another Michigan State football classic. We're not done. We go to 2015 and the Big Ten Championship there. Michigan State taking on Iowa. Connor Cook leading the Spartans on a 22-play drive, finished by a L.J. Scott touchdown with 27 seconds to go to give Michigan State the Big Ten title over Iowa in Indianapolis. Hawkeyes fans, you might want to sit that one out. What a great day for the Spartans. At 8 o'clock, we got a Michigan State basketball classic, taking on Kentucky. And their win from 2022, Joey Hauser with 23 points, Malik Hall with 20 to help the Spartans upset fourth-ranked Kentucky 86-77 in double overtime. So there you got Coach Cal against Tom Izzo in that one. And then at 10 o'clock on Friday, a Michigan State basketball classic 2000. Big Ten championship game in March of 2000, Illinois versus Michigan State. AJ Granger, 17 points. Morris Peterson, 14 to help the fifth-ranked Spartans with 76-61 victory over 25th-ranked Illinois for the Big Ten championship. So that's just Friday. A lot of Michigan State on Friday. Now, on the Big Ten Network, let's look ahead to Saturday, July 13th. We'll pick it up. We'll fast forward through the day. You're winding down the day. You got a busy Saturday. Then you sit down on the couch, hit the remote control. 9 o'clock Eastern time. The Big Ten story. Going to feature on Aiden Hutchinson. You can see the journey of a Michigan man, Aiden Hutchinson, following his dream. He played for the Wolverines and became the number 2 pick in the NFL draft for the Detroit Lions. At 9:30, a Michigan football classic, Ohio State, Michigan from 2021. And then more, a Michigan football classic at 10:30, Michigan to Penn State from 1999. Some guy named Tom Brady throwing the go-ahead touchdown pass to Marcus Knight late in the fourth quarter to secure the 16th-ranked Wolverines 31-27 comeback victory over the 6th-ranked Nittany Lions on that one. There you go. We'll look ahead to Sunday now. Sunday, July 14th. At noon, we pick it up, an Iowa basketball classic. This is the women's. This is Indiana at Iowa. That was from last February 2023. Caitlin Clark scoring the game-winning three-pointer at the buzzer to lift the 6th-ranked Hawkeyes to an 86-85 victory over the 2nd-ranked Hoosiers. This is where people outside of Iowa, this is 2023, not 2024, started to pay a lot of attention to a young lady named Caitlin Clark if they weren't zoned into her at this point. So I kind of remember her kind of taking over on the national scene at this point and then stayed there all through the rest of the year, the following year, 2024, into the WNBA. The Iowa Basketball Classic at 1:30, the 2022 Big Ten Championship, Iowa versus Purdue from 2022. Keegan Murray, 19 points and 11 rebounds to lead the 5th-seeded Hawkeyes to a 75-66 win over the 3rd-seeded Boilermakers for the Big Ten title. And at 6:30, an Iowa Football Classic, Iowa at Penn State. That was from November of 2000. Ryan Hansen, remember him? Catching the game-clinching interception in the end zone to secure the Hawkeyes' 26-23 victory over the Nittany Lions in double overtime. And then at 8 o'clock, there's an Iowa Football Classic, Ohio State at Iowa from 2017, back in November. You know, the Hawkeyes have always had good defense, right? 4 interceptions on this day, 55 Iowa points, and the Hawkeyes win over then 6th-ranked Ohio State, a 31-point deficit overcome there at Kinnick Stadium. So there are some of your Big Ten classics for the weekend. If you want to look at the Big Ten Network and have some fun with that and go down memory lane, that's always fun. In the meantime, love to hear from you, your comments, especially you Badger fans today. What do you think? You going to be much above 500 this year or not? We'll see. A lot of it's going to start right there at the quarterback position. Many ways for you to interact with me. Don't forget, tomorrow we will feature on Rutgers, Greg Schiano's second act, his second stint as a head coach. I think he's got things going pretty well, and they're killing it on the recruiting trail. They might be good for a while. Tell all your Rutgers fans, doing Rutgers football tomorrow, among other news that's going on around the Big Ten. Interact with me at Twitter, at X, at Talk Big Ten number 10, comments on YouTube, and then our website, talkbig10number10.com. You can hit me up with an email there. Check all of our podcasts. You get your fan merchandise there, ticket stuff there, all of it right there at one place, talkbig10number10.com. And be sure to subscribe Before you go, click it. You're good to go. And you can follow this podcast right now on your favorite podcast app. And you get the latest episode of Locked On Big Ten as soon as it becomes available each and every day. All right. And I'm going to invite you to watch some more podcasts. We're going through every team in the Big Ten here over this. We got 18 teams, 18 days. We got 4 teams down, 14 more to go. This is your place. If you missed one, go check it out on our website, talkbig10.com. And tell your friends about us as well. I know you know some Big Ten people. Let them know we're out here every single day. When you're done with us, we have friends at Locked On. Locked On Sports Today, here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. So go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube there and subscribe there as well. First ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. All right, this was a blast as always. Thank you. I always appreciate it. Never take it for granted. Thank you for tuning in. Can't wait to talk to you again tomorrow right here on Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman. We'll talk to you next time.